looking back, Kelsey, I'm really, really glad I did not choose to go to college. And so there is that risk, and you weigh that in those moments. Um, but if the Lord is leading you in a direction, like, pursue that, whether that's college or whether that's not college.
Today, I am so excited to get to welcome my friend Adrian Waldron on to answer the call to talk about. Basically, I have some questions for you, Adrian, about how you've accomplished so much in so little time. For the record, can you just start throwing out some context? How old are you and what do you currently do?
Kelsey, thanks so much. Honored to be here. Um, yeah, I'm 23 years old, and right now I'm running cancerdoctor.com, which is an online platform that exists to help cancer patients discover integrative care and find doctors that can help them pursue integrative care. And yeah, how we got here is a journey for sure.
It is. Oh, well, I'm really excited to learn more about that. I was just going to reach out to ask about it personally, but then I was like, well, he's inevitably going to have legit things to say, so we might as well record for the content. Uh, and I bet other people in your network are like, how is this young dog just ripping and roaring and accomplishing all these things? So, gotta give the people what they want. How about this? Can you just share about maybe like I don't know where the story begins for you, maybe 17 or 18 years old,
Yeah.
where somebody would normally be just entering college, how your career path diverged and developed to where it is now.
Yeah. So we'll go back. My very first job, I was 16 years old and I flipped ribs at a Shane's Rib Shack in Georgia.
What's
And
up?
yeah, smoked some butts, made barbecue, made people happy. It was awesome. I got to work back of house, which was pretty stressful. I mean, they had like a 3-minute quota for each ticket to come through. So you had to just be on your game. Um, and that really taught me a lot about, efficiency and doing things with excellence and doing things with speed and like, making sure that things are right while also going at a pace that is fast. Right. Um, and I hated it. It was awful.
You hated
um,
it.
yeah, it was the worst. But you know what? I learned a ton at Shane's Rib Shack about myself and about my work ethic because up until that point, it had never been really tested. Right.
Mm.
After like 6 months, I left Shane's and I went to work for Best Buy. And I got put on the sales floor as a sales associate in home theater. And there, I was actually there for 2 years, and it was the longest job that I had my entire, I mean, until I've had this job now. Um, and, I helped people build their dream home theater setups with TVs and speakers and all that stuff. And I had a 6-month stint in Geek Squad as well. And my entire life, I've kind of always been like a techie, kind of always liked technology. I've always just kind of been obsessed with it, learned as much about it as I can. Um, but then 2020 is where things get kind of crazy. So at the time when I was 17, I started dating my now wife.
Oh
So we're
yeah,
high
a
school
plot twist.
sweethearts.
He's a family man, everybody.
Oh
How
yeah,
many kids have you
I have
cranked out?
I have two beautiful little girls. I'm married to my precious wife Helen. We've been married uh, in a little under a month. Will be 4 years, and we have
Wow.
two daughters. Our oldest is 2.5. Her name is Lania Kea, which means immeasurable heaven in Hawaiian. And then we just had 2.5 months ago our second daughter. Her name is Veda, which means knowledge. And we're just so blessed. God is so good and has been so good to us. So, yeah.
Praise
Uh,
God. I love
Back
that.
to 17 years old, dating Helen, right?
Yeah.
Uh, it was about the time, I was like, all right, it's legit. She's the one. I'm gonna ask her to marry me. And this is 2019, 2020 now at this time. So early 2020, February 2nd, I dropped down on one knee and I proposed to her.
Wait, you were
And
17?
no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Fast forward. I was 17 at Best Buy. The
Yeah.
transition from Best Buy is 2 years. So I'm 19 or yeah, like
19,
18,
yeah.
19 at this age. And I'm like, I'm going to propose to her. Great. I proposed to her. And to kind of loop in the career stuff, over the last 6 months before I proposed to her, I actually left Best Buy and I pursued this part-time opportunity with a family friend who had a small electronics business. And it was a really high opportunity switch. There was a lot of opportunity for me to learn a bunch of stuff and for me to make a lot more money than I was making at Best Buy. And he was going to train me, he was going to teach me all this stuff, and it was going to be awesome. Well, as we all know, 2020, March 2020 hits and COVID just ravages the world. And in most industries, you know, work slowed down, but for him, work went crazy. And he
Oh,
just
yeah, there's
did
two
not,
ways it
yeah.
went during the pandemic, and you would hope you were on the side of the equation that it sounds like you ended up on.
I did, but I ended up on a weird side where his work was so much that he actually didn't have the time to pull me along and start training him.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was kind of like tough, but I mean, we're all good now. But it came to the point where I was like, man, I got to figure this out. I need a job. I just proposed to my fiance. We have a 6 month engagement, and I got to figure out how to put bread on the table for my new wife that I'm about to have.
She's wedding planning and you are job planning.
And I'm jobless is what's happening here exactly. Um, so I reached out to our local church, and we had an elder there that I'd gotten to know a little bit through serving, and he reached out to one of our members who's actually a businessman here in Georgia, and he's got a couple businesses that he runs, and he's like, yeah, I've got this opportunity for an assistant. Maybe you can come and interview for that if that sounds interesting to you. And I was like, I'm about to get married in 6 months. I'll be anyone's assistant, right? Like,
Yeah.
put me in, coach. Um, so I go, I meet him at the office. Never, like, I've seen this guy across the church, right? I've never really met him. Um, and it turns out that as soon as I pull up, he's like, you know what? You're not going to interview to be my assistant. I'm going to put you on this project over here that I've been working on for the last couple of years. And that project was Cancer Doctor. So,
That's awesome. And
yeah,
it's actually blossomed into a
it,
legit thing.
it is a legit thing. And it's taken us some time to get here. But uh, the project that I started doing was ripping doctor lecture videos off of DVDs and making them digitally accessible for people. And that has evolved into now we have the whole platform where patients can go and find over 800 doctors across the world and get connected with them and learn about integrative care and all this stuff. So, uh, and that's been a 4.5 year journey. So, yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, now the follow-up questions begin. Thank you so much for laying the foundation there. Uh, I would like to hear about your career expectations. Like, did you expect to go to college, or what did you expect for your career in general as like a mid-teen looking ahead?
Yeah. So there were really two paths for me, Kelsey, and that was become a software engineer. Like I said, I've always been a techie. So I was like, I could probably go and do computer science and learn how to code and build cool stuff. And that would be just a very natural progression of kind of my personality and my interests. And then the second one, which really has my heart and still has my heart, is aviation.
Hmm.
And so I really considered going out to Arizona to Embry-Riddle to learn how to fly helicopters and get a bachelor's in aeronautical science. Um, and for some reason, well, in fact, I know the reason. Real quick, there's a program here in Georgia for seniors in high school to take college classes for free.
Wow.
And it's great. Yeah, if you're in high school in college or in Georgia and you want to get some college credit early, great program. All it is based on your SAT, ACT scores. Um, so I did that for my senior year of high school, and I went to University of West Georgia, and I just kind of realized I was like, the vibes are off, and I don't really know
The
why,
vibes are
but
off.
they're off. Uh, and so I decided not to go to college. And in that moment is when I kind of started working around Best Buy and like doing that whole stuff. And so for a second, I thought maybe I would climb the ladder at Best Buy and do that kind of stuff. But in terms of career planning, there wasn't really much other than let me try it for a year. And obviously, I didn't continue down that path.
Hmm. Yeah. I Can I ask about like what your family thinks or expected for your career, or what you grew up seeing your parents do for work?
Yeah, absolutely. So My mom was a preschool teacher pretty much my whole life. And I didn't want to be a teacher, but
Yeah.
my dad, he kind of did a couple different things growing up, but most of the time it was kind of remote IT support for various companies. And in terms of expectations from my family on what I would end up doing, it wasn't a culture of like, we expect you to be a doctor or we expect you to become an engineer. And frankly, financially, my parents couldn't afford to put me through college. So that was partially a factor as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I was going to go, I'd have to go and get the grants and get the scholarships and get all the
Yeah.
money myself, which is intimidating at 17, 18 years old, right? But there wasn't high expectations for me to do something specific or to do something big through
Mm-hmm.
college.
What I love about your story is that I don't know why I want to say this, but it's like it's so real and like realistic that your ambition was you found an amazing girl that you wanted to marry, and therefore you were like,
Yeah.
new challenge, must provide. And then you were very willing, very open, and the Lord was gracious and it put
Hmm.
you in a sphere of partnering with business owners that were like, yeah, I'll you could come help me. And then the second one actually ended up being an amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
And I this is a real career strategy that I see people using. That is one reason I'm really grateful to get to highlight your story is often for Christians especially, like you can just ask around church and there usually are people who are more advanced in their careers who want an up and comer to be a part of their succession planning.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a huge deal and a
Yeah.
huge opportunity. And older and wiser people often will also be able to acknowledge that college isn't what makes you a great person to work
Yeah.
with. It's not. You are what makes you a good person to
Yeah.
work with, and your own character development and resourcefulness and drive, which you
Yeah.
had. So, I'm curious what advice you have for people who there's two groups. One, uh, we don't have that many younger people in our audience, but it is a growing segment. So I know that there are some high school students who are listening that they're wondering if college is for them.
Hmm.
And if they get the bad vibe, like you said, how would you advise them to make a wise decision either way? Because there are risks associated with um, not going to college. Because honestly, some people, I don't know if I should say this. Please soften my language if you think this is incorrect. I don't know if some people, including myself, are mature enough at the age of 18 to just like go full send into promising work that has a
Hmm.
future.
Yeah.
So, how would you speak to them? And then, second, I'll ask you some questions about people who are already experienced professionals and they don't have a degree. And I've really had some clients struggle with the insecurity of, like, for
Hmm.
some reason, insecurity following them throughout their career. Even though I'm like, bro, you have an amazing resume. And that was 10 years ago and nobody cares.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk college first.
Yeah.
So really where I'm at now, and honestly, looking back, Kelsey, I'm really, really glad I did not choose to go to college. And I think
Good.
that's a statement and that's a testament, right? Of like you said, the Lord's faithfulness and him, uh, again, vibes were off and we don't really understand why, but truly it was a prompting of the Holy Spirit for me to not pursue this thing that frankly everyone around me was doing. They were all going to college and they were all going pursuing these 4-year degrees, undergraduate degrees, and they, on the flip side of that coin, were going to come out of college and probably make more money than me if I was just working at Best Buy, right? And so there is that risk, and you weigh that in those moments. Um, but if the Lord is leading you in a direction, like pursue that, whether that's college or whether that's not college. Now there's wisdom, and I would say if you're really not pursuing STEM, then college probably may not be the best idea.
Yeah.
Financially, just the
Yeah.
math ain't mathing, you know? But at the end of the day, like, if for some reason you feel like the Lord's calling you to go to college for art, pursue that. If you feel the Lord is calling you not to go to college and pursue this opportunity over here that to everyone else looks like is just a kind of a dead end job, pursue Him above all things, above a job, right? And so for me, and where I was at with that was, I just, like you said, it's really, it's crazy what you can do when you don't give yourself a choice. Um,
Mhm.
because I did just propose to my fiance,
Yeah.
and I did not have a college degree, and so I had to figure it out.
Yeah.
And frankly, that's been every single role that I've been put in. I didn't know
Mhm.
sales when I got put on the sales floor at Best Buy. I didn't know how to flip ribs or smoke butts at Shane's, but there was someone there that did, and I could figure it out with them, and I could get trained by them, and I could obsess over it and do exceptional work through that. And so if
Mhm.
someone's at that crossroads of college, not college, prayer, number one, where's the Lord calling you to go? And then two, like think about, okay, are you willing to trade 4 years of your life for this degree? That's another consideration. Are you willing to go and pursue this? Or are you feeling like you're more led to go and just kind of figure it out? Because figuring it out is probably the wrong term. Like you said, there's communities here that want to find people that are just longing to learn something and are
Yeah.
longing to figure something out and to put work behind something, and they'll hire you
Mhm.
and they'll pay you for that.
Yes.
It may not be six figures out the gate from college, but
Yeah.
there's a thought that I was having before we got on today. Like, given enough time, like hard work is always going to beat raw talent. And like given enough time, hard work is always going to beat like a college degree.
Mm.
If you get into a role where you can learn something and hone a skill set, a single skill set for 4 years, so let's say it's marketing, and you hone marketing and you figure out how to build a funnel and you figure out how to drive customers and drive LTV and drive AOV and all these things, comparatively to the 4 years that someone's going to go and spend and get a business degree.
It's a joke.
You know what I mean? Like,
They're going
so
to
that's
start learning 4 years after you already
correct.
had been producing
Correct.
results. And this is the very reason that there are 17-year-olds with extremely lucrative marketing agencies that they're cranking out all this client work
Yeah.
because they're like, oh, I could do it. Like, this
Yeah.
isn't that crazy. It's like a lot of watching YouTube videos and just trying things out until you get stats and case studies to
Right.
show
Yep.
the effectiveness of your work. And you are highlighting something so good about you could either pay to begin to learn or you could get paid to learn and produce results at the same time.
Absolutely.
That
Yeah.
is a huge resume builder.
Yeah. And again, for anyone listening to this, like, I'm not anti-college.
Hmm.
I have a buddy. He just graduated residency. He's a certified medical doctor, has patients of his own now. He could not do that without college.
Yeah.
There's engineers that are building bridges that I drive on every single day that I don't want not having college degrees. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Please
Like,
go to college.
there's, please, uh, there are roles and there are needs in society that require, and maybe they don't even require, but they are so much better if you put in that work and that schooling on the front end. And so there are those opportunities. I'm just biased because I didn't go that route, and the Lord has been good and He's been faithful, um, and teaches you a lot.
It's important to hear that this is a legitimate way to handle your career. Now with Cancer Doctor, how can you tell me like what your team is like? Because I am getting the sense that you don't work alone. And are you leading them?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, when I first was given the opportunity of like really stepping more into like a leadership role at Cancer Doctor, um, we had more team members than we have now, and I think we were up to six. We had six team members. We had like a copywriter, we had a data analyst, we had a sales guy, we had kind of a catch-all lady that was kind of like an assistant, but for everybody, kind of just did some grunt work. And then there was the business owner who I work with closely. There was me, and then we had a PhD doing research. And it's not that anymore. We don't have
Yeah.
that same stack. But when I was coming into leadership, like those were all the people that I was kind of managing, not including subcontractors that we had for development and website work and all kinds of other things that we had going on.
Mm-hmm.
So guaranteed, every single one of those people was older than I was. And so as I kind of started taking on more and more leadership, it's interesting because a few of those people didn't quite enjoy that. And they actually wound up leaving, which
Oh,
was kind of heart-wrenching for me because I'm like, what did I do?
yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're over 2 years removed from that. And it's like, man, the Lord was looking out, like, because where we're at today is not where we were then.
Yeah.
And he knew what we needed in that moment for us to be here.
That's right.
And so what it looks like now is it's pretty much me. And we have a Cancer Doctor podcast, and our host of that podcast is Robert. He has an incredible story. So it's me and Robert pretty much against the world right now, which is awesome.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
there's so much to be done. There's so many things we could do. And so part of this whole dynamic now of leading Robert, who is older than me and honestly a mentor to me in my leadership and in my career, just trying to figure out, okay, how can we best serve patients? So it's shifted from leadership initially, project managing. We have all these initiatives kind of going on, which to some people that rubbed the wrong way. To others, they were like, this is awesome. You understand things better than I do at your age, and you can actually help me. And you can
Yeah.
make my life easier. And you can help this project move from point A to point Z and get it done and get it done in time. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I was definitely leading people, but it didn't really feel like leading. Like I kind of had built the relationship up until that point with all of these people to where they understood that we all wanted the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I think if you're in a leadership role, probably the number one thing for you to do is just clarify the vision over and over and over. And when everyone's bought into that same vision and you say, this is how we get to that vision, we're all walking, we're going,
Yeah.
you know? So maybe that's a little off tangent, but hopefully that helps you
It
with
does.
that.
It does. I get the sense that you really emit like a hungry and humble attitude too, and you're teachable. You just said your coworker is also a mentor,
Yeah.
and like it's kind of that Chinese proverbs of like we are all each other's teachers and students at the same time.
Yeah.
And there's a delicate way to handle that when you're trying to not only build rapport and be everybody's friend, but you do need to lead the project. But it sounds like you've done that with a desire to learn and honor people, which I'm sure goes over better than not.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's
Like,
really good.
regardless if you're put in a leadership role over people or not, like you always have something to learn from people. And so there were people that I was leading and I was managing through projects and initiatives that we had going on in the business. And they were teaching me things because they'd
Mm-hmm.
been here longer than I had been. And
Mm-hmm.
and so they're teaching me this. Oh, okay. Now that actually helps me clarify the vision a little bit more. What you're saying makes a lot of sense. So let's tweak what we're doing in this way to make sure that we avoid that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and being, like you said, teachable, being humble, being able to just learn from people and recognize that you're not the smartest person in the room and you never want to be.
Mm-hmm.
You can take that information in and then you can think about it, strategize around it, make the plan and say, all right, guys, what do you think about this? Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How has your relationship with the investor slash business owner been? Like, it seems like he has a lot of trust and belief in you to keep you amidst the weeding others
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I won't speak for him. Uh, we're pretty close.
Mhm.
I would say both the guys that I work with are mentors to me, which is crazy. Uh,
Yeah,
but
that's awesome.
he's also not afraid to delegate to me.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to let me fail and let me learn from it, which
Hmm.
is huge because
Yeah,
I have my own vision of what Cancer Doctor can become and what it will be, hopefully one day be the number one integrative resource on the planet for people.
that's right.
But how we get there, it's like of course we're going to step in potholes. Of course we're going to make mistakes. And having
Yeah.
someone that's not domineering over you in a sense, that just kind of steps back and allows you to fail, but then allows you to come and debrief and figure out, hey, what went wrong? Let's make sure that doesn't happen again.
Mhm.
That kind of relationship is necessary for someone like me in my position to grow and to ultimately
Mhm.
become better the next day than I was the day before. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're really close. Great mentor of mine. Very thankful for him. Very generous man. And this business and where I'm at today wouldn't be possible without his obedience to the Lord in saying yes to me needing a job in 2020. So
Praise God for
yeah,
him. You got to get married while being employed.
yeah,
That is a
that's a
real
big deal.
W.
It's a big deal. So
Yeah. I want to hear how you have handled your own mindset because from the moment I met you, I guess, I don't know, like a year or two ago
mhm,
at this point, we met at Jordan Rayner's Redeeming Your Time retreat in Florida. And now we're in his mastermind
yeah,
together for the next year. And when I first met you, you came off as like a really a person that's at rest like with yourself and like just very willing to stand up and talk but not trying to prove things
mm,
or overcompensate for your age. All to say I didn't really perceive insecurity, which
mm,
is just amazing to me when it's really common to have a lot of thoughts swirling in the mind when you're a young person in a room full of people that are
yeah.
often twice our age. Not my age, your age. I mean, I'm 7 years older than you. Yeah, what would that be? Mid 40s
Yeah.
versus whatever. I'll stop.
I
16
mean,
or mid 50s. Never mind.
that's really interesting that you say that because I mean, your own worst critic. I do not perceive myself in that way at all. Like
Mm.
I even preparing for this, I was like, man,
Oh,
what on earth is happening? Like, what is the Lord doing through this? I'm glad I said yes. I'm glad we're here having this fun conversation, but also
yeah.
like, because I get mad imposter syndrome in those rooms. Um, but I think, and I don't know, like, so there's a big part of my story that I haven't really shared today, which is okay. When I was 18, my mom was diagnosed with T cell lymphoma, which is a cancer, and she went through, I mean, 2 years worth of chemotherapy. She had radiation. She had a surgery for a tumor mass on her spine, and she ultimately had a stem cell transplant and things like that. And in 2020, she passed away, and she passed away the same week that I started working on Cancer Doctor.
Wow.
And it's crazy, just the Lord's timing, because the things that I know now about cancer, I did not know then. And so it's been this interesting journey of like, okay, Lord, what are you trying to teach me in this? Um, and so 19, losing your mom, which my entire life has been frankly the head of the household and the one steering the charge towards the Lord. And
Mm.
so for her to be taken away, that just broke me. And so by the time I meet you, I'd really gone through this process of rebuilding my faith from the ground up and kind of rediscovering not like who I am, but like who does God want Adrian to be? And when you go through that process and you go through that journey, I really believe like you come out the other end and it's like, man, the things that I used to stress about are not even worth the thought now. Um, and although I do still have some anxiety here and there, I do
Yeah.
think it's because of that the Lord has brought me to a place of complete peace with Him.
Oh, Adrian, I definitely was tearing up over here. I'm so deeply
Yeah.
sorry that that was a part of your story, but another reason that I was moved to tears was that by the grace of God, well, suffering can turn out in a variety of ways.
Hmm.
One, like in the parable of the sower, like
Hmm.
the cares of the world, um, weed that person out from faith. Like they
Yeah.
they let go of their faith.
Yeah.
And other seeds fall on the good soil
Right.
that have deep roots and stand the test of life. And you have been tested more than average for your age. So that moves me so deeply at God's grace and your faithfulness that you actually stuck around after such a loss and are
Yeah.
now leading your family in faith. And it also just sounds like no wonder you're an old soul in a young body.
Yeah.
Life
Yeah.
has, you've been doing some laps.
Yeah.
It's, and because of that, also, you now stand to have a longer runway ahead of you to keep on working toward a mission with more motivation than is common because of your
Absolutely.
background.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
extremely motivating. And you said you're sorry that happened, and I obviously I am. Like, no part of me wishes that my mom wasn't here. But if it wasn't for that, it's like I have no idea who I would be, Like, through suffering, God taught me so much. And it's interesting, again, the parallels to a cancer patient who receives a cancer diagnosis and the intense suffering that they and their entire family is about to go through
yeah,
is going to teach them a lot. And for our business, that's the motivating. Every single person on our team right now has like a direct personal experience with cancer. And that is the driving force of Cancer Doctor. Are we still figuring things out? Yes. Are we a startup? By all definitions. Are we are we going to step in potholes on the way to where I want to be? Absolutely. But are we driven by a heart and a mission that has been broken by cancer? Absolutely. And we want to see that healed. We want to see that restored in the patient of hope. Like, give them hope that there is, number one, life beyond death, but number two, so many more options for you on this side of heaven. And that's why we do what we do. And yeah, I think, again, the business wouldn't be what it is. I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for the Lord understanding what he knew to teach me through that.
amen. I'm just thinking about all the young people who are 17, 18, and they want to be on a mission. I wonder how they might be able to emulate a story like yours in reaching out and trying to get connected to a bunch of people who are funding business ventures like this, and they need some young blood to get to work on it. And how they, yeah, like might be able to emulate a story like yours. Any advice for them?
Yeah. I just reach out to community. I mean, every part of my story is like just me being surrounded by community and community pouring into my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so going out and searching for, or your church community, your school community, any, friends that you have that may have their own networks, like find ways to get into community and make it known that you're searching for something that has meaning and that has purpose, and that you want to put your energy towards something that's more than just a dollar number. You make that known, it's going to get noticed. And I can't guarantee that opportunities will come, but again, remain prayerful and remain faithful to the Lord, and he will remain faithful to you. Would
Mm-hmm.
be everything they need to know, I feel like.
I agree. And as they're seeking out the advice of from community and getting counsel, they may hear, like you did, yeah, come on, I have a need. And they also might hear, love that, go get a skill and come back. Not and that's okay. Like one of
Absolutely.
my dearest friends, Bendu, she heard that. She said that same thing of like, I want to be on a mission. For her, she really, really wanted to be an aid worker in Palestine. And she uh, was trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
She's a very determined gal. And she kept on hearing from all these godly people, like, love that, but go get a skill and come back. Like, what are you going to do there? And I don't think that's the right message for everybody. I think some people like you find themselves in a circumstance where it's like perfect timing. Let's just get
Yeah.
to work. But she ended up being called by God throughout that process that included community to go to medical school.
Yeah.
And she's a doctor now.
That's
And that
amazing.
was like a many year, as you know,
Yes.
journey to getting to do what she wanted to do. Unfortunately, right around the time that her residency is going to start wrapping up, now there's a war that wasn't happening at the time that she started this dream, and we'll see what God has for
Yeah.
her. But God is leading it. And all to say, there's a variety of valid answers that you might get. Trust the process.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, there's
Um,
definitely, if the skill is needed, chances are that particular circumstance is, yeah, you might need to go and become someone that's educated in medical to be able to be the most help in that situation. And if that's the case and you feel led to do that, by all means, like, go and learn the skill and know that you're working towards the goal that God has called you to in the first place.
mhm.
And I think that's the piece of the mindset that's so hard to hold on to when you're in this process of going over here to learn this thing, but it's not really what you want to do, but it's the skill that's going to get you to what you want to do. Um, that's very different than, yeah, I mean, okay, we have an agency business and we need people that can run Facebook ads. Go learn Facebook
Yeah.
ads. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't need to go to college for that.
And if it's go learn Facebook ads, then spend every spare hour of your time, if that's what you
Mhm.
want to do and you want to help this business owner grow this agency, ingesting YouTube content on Facebook ads, joining groups to talk about who's doing what and what is working well on that platform, and obsess yourself in that so that you can learn as much as you can and then turn around and be exceptional with everything you've learned, would be
That's
my,
right.
if there's a certification, if there's a skill needed and you feel called to do it, go and be absolutely obsessed with it until you're able to put in the work and learn from everything you've learned.
I totally agree. Some Christians I found are kind of uncomfortable with the word obsessed, like, oh, no, I should only be obsessed with Jesus Christ. And I'm like, listen, don't get your panties in a wad. I think it's okay to be like super excited and like tunnel vision in your work tasks.
Absolutely.
And I mean, what's the opposite? Should we be like unmotivated and kind of disassociated from our tasks? Like, I don't know.
There's definitely that is God's design for humans to obsess over things.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, he created us. I mean, think about his creation of us and how our minds work and how we can focus in and get so motivated on the thing that is stirring us up. We should be obsessed with that. Not in the sense of it becomes an idol. There is a
Yeah.
balance and there's a difference between my career status being an
Mhm.
idol and me having X amount of connections on LinkedIn or making X amount of dollars being an
Mhm.
idol. But if
Mhm.
God has called you has given you a vision and called you to a mission that is God given and is confirmed by the Holy Spirit, and everyone around you is like, yes, God like clearly is calling you towards this. Obsess over going and doing the work that
Run,
God has
don't
called you to
walk.
do. Like, you do not have more time than what God has given you. The time to start
Oh,
is now, you know?
I have been feeling that so hard these days. All of a sudden, I'm walking around and I'm just like, do you know life is short? I feel like an old fart, but like, it's just really hitting me these days of
Yeah.
like, I'm not guaranteed time. Oh my gosh. Like,
Yeah.
I think there was something about the defining decade of my 20s coming to a close where I was like, wow, all right, that was a defining decade.
Yeah.
And like, what am I going to do with this one? uh, like the passage of time is real and I don't get that back. And I am thinking about the verse in Psalms that's about like basically asking God to teach us to be wise by numbering our days,
Yeah.
and causing that, or making that a motivator to be obedient to also what Paul says about, like, what is it in Romans? Like, beat myself into submission as if I were an athlete preparing to run a race.
Yeah.
And of course, like, rest and chill and
Mm-hmm.
Sabbath as if everything is up to God and you don't have a care in the world and He's providing everything. But when it's work time,
It's work time.
don't dilly dally.
Yeah.
I
So go ahead. Sorry.
no, I want to hear your thoughts.
Maturity is holding two opposing ideas at the same time.
Mm.
One, that your time is, there's no more of it than what God has allotted you. And that should be used wisely and used effectively for His glory and the mission and vision that He's given you. On the other hand, God calls us to rest and find our true rest in Him, and to not make the things that we're doing and the goals that we're trying to achieve be the thing that give us rest. Like, it is Him, and He is always there. So you hold those, and they're always in tension. And when it comes to time, like, going through that with my mom revealed that to me at 19 years old, which was hard, but it was also like God's grace to say, hey, Adrian, your time on this earth is limited, and the way that you use it and the way that you spend it, not only are you going to give account for it, but you can't get those minutes back. What are you going to do? And that, I think, for some people, especially, if they're 16, 17, 18 listening, they're like, oh my gosh, can't even think about that. And that's okay. But man, you do hit a point where you're like, man, all right, I want to be as intentional as possible for this, and make sure that everything that I do is towards what God has called me to do. It's called the called career, right? Like,
we're trying over here.
I know we are. What is God called you to do, and pursue that relentlessly, obsessively.
Yeah. I hear this so big. Praise God for your testimony.
Favorite verse is Hebrews 12:11. It says, for the moment, all discipline seems painful rather than pleasant, but later it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. And you don't get trained just by sitting around. And so you go and you do the hard work. It's like, I think, we were on a mastermind call, and I mentioned I'd started going to the gym, and you mentioned you also had started, working out.
That's right.
Stuff. And so you know what I'm talking about.
Pounds of muscle.
Let's go.
I'm a strong girl now.
Let's go.
I can beat people up.
You, like, doing the hard, disciplined, painful thing in that moment later yields fruit, is what this verse tells us. And so, again, to the obsessive point, I feel like the Lord has given us that liberty to be obsessive for the things that He has called us to do. He says, look, Kelsey, I want you to go and teach Christian professionals how to go and get the job that they want. Go. Yes, Father. Out of obedience, you run towards that goal and you obsess over it and accomplish that for Him. And I just think that spirit is needed.
I am with you. And Adrian, I just want to say, I hope you start 10 businesses and have 10 kids, because I think you could handle it. And I think we need some more people like you.
Yikes. 10's a lot. I'm like, we're shooting for 4 right now.
Awesome.
And even now I'm like, we could probably go 5. But like,
I think
10's a lot.
No, I tell your wife to, like, whip out that bonnet and hoop skirt. I think y'all could have a whole brood.
I love it.
No offense to her. I meant that only as a joke.
No, it's amazing. She's all
I
for the
on
homesteading,
the weekends,
the whole deal. Yeah,
yes,
she's all about it.
On the weekends, I enter what I call, like, my bonnet mode, where I'm like, I'm just meal prepping and cleaning and painting things and sewing. Yeah. But in the week, I'm like, listen, we got to negotiate.
We're doing business here.
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome.
It's funny. I have really enjoyed this conversation, to say the least, and am grateful for the testimony that you've shared. Bless you.
Thank you.
And thanks for being here.
I'm honored. This has been fun. It's good to get to know you more, and hopefully, someone listening to this gets some value. And, if they want to reach out, or if they want to look at our platform, it's cancerdoctor.com. but they can definitely reach out to you, and then definitely send them my way. I'd love to talk to them.
Thank you so much for welcoming that. I know that means a lot to people. So cheers.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. To get an even more meaningful head start into your calling, head to thecalledcareer.com, where my fellow career coach Audrey and I have created a whole suite of free resources and tools to help you get clear and get a job today. For those who are definitely ready to land a job or start a business in the next 6 to 12 months, we're here to help you biblically and practically discern your calling through coaching, reflection, and deep market research. Identify the job that's aligned with it, even if you currently have no idea what you want. Rebrand your resume and LinkedIn to translate your background to appeal to your future boss. P.S. We take this off your plate and do this for you. Also, we'll teach you how to land referrals and get attention from leadership through networking. Again, if that makes you nervous, we have these emails and LinkedIn messages literally written for you so you don't have to sweat. We're also here to give you unlimited interview practice so you're prepared to address every elephant in the room and knock selling yourself out of the park. Then we'll round out with helping you negotiate your salary so you land thousands more. Just so you know, recent clients have gotten $8,000 to $50,000 salary increases, even though they were totally non-traditional candidates. That's because we specialize in helping non-traditional career pivoters land jobs they're ecstatic to serve in. It takes work, but we're here to see you through until the end, when we're celebrating that day that you send me an email in all caps and you say, Kelsey, I got the job. Then you could be on the podcast. But I'll be here until then, keeping you accountable and encouraged by meeting with you literally until you land the job you want, even if that's up to 6 months from now within our program. Apply to join at thecalledcareer.com, and I'll see you next week here at Answer the Call. Bye for now.